Hello everyone and welcome to another tutorial for searching for that perfect investment property. My name is Robert Whitelaw. I'm a real estate broker in the state of California, specifically in the Silicon Valley area, serving southern San Jose, Morgan Hill, Los Gatos, the whole area. So if you're interested in real estate in those areas, looking to buy or sell, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to help. But to get you guys going on your own with some amazing tools, we've already had a conversation, if you watched my last video, on how to do it from the desktop, and that involved doing different things on different websites. I came across something today that is a one-stop shop that's going to let you do some amazing searching for potential investment properties, but you're going to need to do it from a tablet or a iPad. I'm doing it on an iPad. I'm not sure what kind of performance you might get on a other tablet device or something else, but for whatever reason, the good folks at Trulia have made their iPad version of their software way more usable for someone who's looking for a great property than their desktop version. For those of you who watched the last video, you know that the reason why Trulia, in my mind, is not the perfect tool is because I like to filter out properties based on crime rates. So they have a great overlay that shows crime rates by heat map, but they won't let you look at it when you're just looking at the map. They'll only let you look at it on the desktop browser version of their application when you're looking at a specific property. Not sure why they did that, but at least on their iPad app, you are able to see the entire area using that heat map and being able to make smart decisions on where you want to look. Now, and if a lot of that doesn't matter to you, if the heat map part of it in terms of crime isn't a key thing for you as an investor, if you're someone who feels very comfortable going for a property in any particular area, you wouldn't even need to do that. But let me just, but the real sexy part of this isn't even that. There is a feature that they have in the iPad app that is going to make finding comparable rental properties for the property you want to purchase ridiculously simple. I've already written an email to the folks at Trulia saying, hey, you make your desktop experience in a browser do this, and you are the go-to app for people to find good real estate investments. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I have got my iPad screen up right now, and what I want to do is start by doing what I suggested. I filter first by crime rate. You tend to, just because there are things I don't want to deal with, not just because I don't want to deal with it, but because I don't want to deal with my tenants dealing with it. There are layers to that. If you have a property and it really depends on the circumstances. If you have a property and it has a garage, and the primary crimes that are happening in an area are auto break-ins, then if you know that your renters are going to be parking their cars inside the garage, then you're fine. And it would have to be, again, this would have to be high level. I'm someone who tends to stay away from the worst crime rate area. Anything one notch below that, and I'm willing to take a look at it. Again, it's going to be up to you. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. You can apply whatever particular filters you think are important, but this tool is going to be amazing for you to achieve an awful lot. Okay, so you can see we've got the general screen here. Right now it is showing homes currently for sale in one of my favorite markets, Morgan Hill. It's my hometown. Love living here. Get in touch with me if you want to find out all the great reasons why you want to live in Morgan Hill. But go to the filters and create an option that just isn't going to show any houses, just to start. So you can see the map. Now, you can also then go to the little policeman's hat here at the top, and you can click on the map to get an idea of what the crime rate is. You can also close this up so that you are seeing more of the area. Now, you'll notice here, not a whole lot going on in Morgan Hill in terms of crime. We've got some stuff down in the lower left. We've got one street. This is absolutely nothing. These are all the lowest ratings. So if you're looking in an area like Morgan Hill, you don't even need to do this step. As we pan out, though, let's say you're starting at a much higher level. You can see where things start to heat up. Downtown San Jose, once you get up to Palo Alto and these other areas, you can start looking at the heat map to get an idea of areas you might want to steer clear of. All right, so we've got that out of the way. Let's go ahead and zoom back into Morgan Hill and go back to the regular map view now that we've satisfied ourselves that we're going to be looking in a region that we're happy with. Now, also note on the screen that you have no homes found remove boundary. That remove boundary button is awesome. If you start searching, particularly if you're doing a search in an area like Phoenix, right, which has tons of sub areas, little towns around it, bedroom communities for Phoenix, it's great to be able to scroll around, find areas you like, and then be able to hit that remove the boundary button. So if you're doing a search specifically on Phoenix, you can now suddenly be searching the areas around Phoenix, and it works for every city. Go back up to our filters, and let's do our bread and butter stuff. We'll turn off this whole max of 200 square feet thing. We go with 2 baths, 3 beds, and that's really my core search in my area. This could change depending on areas you look in. I know that there are some downtowns where 2 bedrooms do exceptionally well. Totally up to you, and it totally depends on your local market. So now let's go ahead and take a look. Whoops. There we go. And now we can see we've got, and this is something that's going to be annoying for folks who don't live in Silicon Valley. You can see that the average price here is over $1 million. We've got a few that are decent prices, but let's try to at least not be so nuts in terms of what we're looking at in terms of prices. Let's take the price range and let's bring the maximum to the average in Morgan Hill. And you can find this out online or from a real estate agent that you might be working with, is about $1 million. So I'll put a maximum of $1 million, and let's go ahead and see those. And we see that the things drop down quite a bit. Now, there's a few here that look kind of interesting. There's 419. Now, this is going to be an interesting thing, and this is a Morgan Hill thing. I happen to know that this particular property is what's called a below market value home. So the reason it's $419,000 is you can only buy it if you meet the criteria for a very specific program. And if you do buy it, you're not allowed to rent it. And you also aren't allowed to, unless you stay in it for some prolonged period of time, I think it's a decade, you can't reap any of the rewards of the property. Meaning the next time it sells, that you try to sell it, it goes back into the below market value program, and you're not in control of what the asking price is. Whole lot of conversations we could have about that program. I actually think it's not a great program. I get tons of calls on that particular property, and my suggestion is usually to just rent. There's no point in dropping all that cash to buy a home where you can't reap the rewards of appreciation. It's the only reason to buy a home in the Silicon Valley market. So anyway, maybe that's a topic for another video. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look here. We see another one for $350, which I believe is also in the same boat. Let's see here. So when you're looking for stuff that makes sense, let's see here. Let's go ahead and take a look at this one. 3 beds, 3 baths. All right, so $719,000. One interesting thing about, now this is obviously going to be a homeowners association situation, so you're going to want to look up what the price is going to be. So it's $290 a month in HOA fees. That's actually pretty reasonable. Another great tool here that we've used before is finding out what your total monthly out of pocket would be. If you were to put down, let's see, the home price of $719, if you were to put down 20%, that would be $143,800. The interest rate is not going to be 4.55. The interest rate is going to be more like 3 point. Well, it depends on you. If you were going to buy this and live in it, yes, that's what it would be. Interest rate for an investment right now is probably going to be about 3.8 or 4%. So about $3,572. That is very close to what it would rent for. In fact, probably a little bit higher than what it would rent for. So the only way you could offset that would be to increase your down payment. So instead of putting down $143,000, you might put down, let's see, that would definitely be positive cash flow, but you're putting down 50%. That is what is crazy about this market in Silicon Valley right now. Okay, so now that we've established what the requirements would be, now this would be totally unsuitable, I think. I don't think it makes sense to take $350,000 and have that generate for you possibly $500 a month in positive cash flow. There are other markets where I would suggest you do this. So this analysis would be a reject for me, right? Unless this would be a scenario where I'm buying a home that has the potential for income on it. Now, and the good example of that is a property right here in Morgan Hill, where you've got a home that you purchase, but then you've got a 900 square foot in-law quarters that's separate with its separate parking. So that's another way that you can kind of house hack your way into at least getting some income from those properties. Now, what's amazing for folks, and I know I get a lot of folks asking me this, how much would that rent for? How much would that 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath, 900 and something square foot income property or in-law quarters rent for? About $2,400 a month. So that's how crazy the market here is in Silicon Valley. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on. Let's pretend that we've decided that dropping $350,000 in cash to get minimal returns per month is okay with us. So what we would do is go back up here, and this is kind of the amazing part. So we decided we're zooming in here. Now what I want to know is, I have a 3-bedroom, right? That's what we decided we had. Three bedrooms, 3 baths. And we want to see what it would rent for. Now here's where the awesome part comes in. You can go into filters and immediately change it to for rent. And let's go with minimum of 3 bed, minimum of 2 bath. See the homes. And everything that's available is going to show up immediately. You don't have to go back and forth. You can't do this on the desktop version of Trulia. You have to have 2 separate windows open and figure out a way to get zoomed in on the same places and have a rental screen open on one tab and a purchase screen open on the other. This is an immediate jump back and forth between the two, and it is amazing. If you try to do this on the desktop browser app, it will reset your map view to the broader area that you've searched. So you have to do the zoom in thing again. So now that we've done this, we can see there are no properties in the immediate area, but just outside of that area, there are a bunch. And in terms of desirability, these 2 areas are not quite on par. I find when people go and look at these areas that they tend to prefer the area where these rentals are, but not by enough that it would represent a huge difference in terms of the rent. We'd probably be talking, and particularly since that was a HOA community that's obviously it's well kept on its own, so that's a high spot in that particular area. I would say that we're probably talking on par. My personal guide would be whatever you're seeing here available for a comparable property, you want to go a little less. You want to be aggressive. You don't want to be the property that, depending on your market, if you don't need to be aggressive, don't be. And with any hope, you'll pay attention to this market enough and keep track of these rentals and realize these things are only staying on the market for a week or 2 weeks or a month. And you can actually look at this in Trulia, and it'll tell you how long it's been available on Trulia for rent. All right, so here's one that is a 3-bed, 2.5 bath, very comparable in terms of bedroom accommodations. If we look at the detail page, similar situation. Is that a 1-car garage? I believe that's a single-car garage. I believe that it is. And if that is, that means you win. Yeah, it is. It's a side-by-side where it's probably a 2-car deep garage, which is far less desirable. So given that truth, and that they're renting it for $3,800, and actually let's see if this particular view tells us how long it's been on 45 days on Trulia. So this one has been on Trulia a little longer. If it's been longer than 30 days, me as a property owner or as a renter or a property manager, if we get past 30 days trying to rent a property, particularly in this market, I'd be a little bit worried. So if it were me, I would say probably this rental is a little bit overpriced. They may be able to afford to wait to find that time because rentals get tight in this area. And we're getting up to that time period where things are going to get tight. I would probably say let's shoot for $3,400 on ours. So if we had a $3,400 rental rate on our property, and that's what I would ballpark it at, and we went ahead and dropped that 50% onto the purchase price, we saw that we had about $2,600 in expenses. That included everything, not including upkeep if you're going to do yard work, that kind of stuff. But that would have given us about what? That would give us a $900, $800 per month return on investment, absent of anything else. And I always like to take 10% and put it aside for unexpected expenses, that type of thing, so we're not caught out. If a water heater blows up or some other thing we offer on the property needs to be replaced or repaired, it's better to have that money in the bank if needed. Okay, now I hope that that has been valuable for everyone. This is a great way, even if you're just in your car. Let's say you're out driving around checking out markets locally. This is a great way to do it and be able to get a really good grasp of what the potential is in terms of rental income in an area. Now, what I'm going to suggest you do is go to other areas. As I mentioned, Phoenix. The only reason I mentioned Phoenix is I was actually, I normally do this stuff at my desktop, but I happened to be sitting in the couch in the living room and had my iPad and went ahead and jumped onto the Trulia app to do it from there for the first time and was stunned to see that I could do this so easily. Now let me also demonstrate the whole remove boundaries thing. You can see that right now it's still just looking in Morgan Hill, but if I tap that remove boundary, it blows it out, and now we're seeing properties over here. We can scroll up here and it will start to populate with properties that work in these various areas. And there you go, tons and tons of dots. So great way to browse around. And at the same time, you can have that heat map on so that you know to avoid different areas. So great tool. I hope it's useful for everyone. As always, I'm hoping to leave folks with more knowledge on the table than I take up in your time. Hope we've accomplished that today. If you'd like to find out more about how you can buy, sell, or invest in the local Silicon Valley market, please feel free to reach out. You can find me at www.soldbyrobert.com.